Donna. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of F.A.W.B. I am your host, Naughty Nate here. Yeah, I might as well be like, oh, geez, I'm doing my best over here. Shoot. Well, I have an amazing episode with you tonight. Scrapyard legend has joined us tonight. We're very lucky to have him. I know I got. I'm just gonna bring him on. I'm bringing him on. Everybody, welcome Mr. Pappas to the show. What's up, brother?
Welcome to Naughty Nate's show. We're here with Forever White Belt Podcast, and I'm here for another pap talk here for the dojo.
Hell yeah, man! What is this? This is our second podcast, right? That we've done together.
Second or third? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's been awesome, man. I loved our first couple, man. Those were awesome. So I had to bring you back on. Why don't we jump right into it, Pappas? What have you been up to, man? How's training been?
Oh, I'm climbing the mountain. I am always looking for ways that I can stack growing mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I'm excited to be able to discuss some gems with you today that I've gotten to collect and cultivate along my way.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, before we jump right into what you've been doing for training, because I have been seeing quite a few videos online of you putting in the work out there. I noticed I spoke with Lights Out a few days ago, and he mentioned you guys have a match coming up, man. How do you feel about that?
I am excited. It'll be the probably latest, fastest, and definitely most experienced fighter that I've gotten to face at the ring. And I refuse to take him anything but as a serious opponent. And I'm excited for us to dance.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Do you think you having the weight advantage against him is going to be a factor? I mean, he has speed for sure, and I've done a little standing grappling with Lights Out, and he's actually a lot stronger than he looks, man. I mean, he's only 135 pounds, but the guy is pretty strong. But yeah, I mean, you outweigh him though by a good, 80 pounds at least, right? Roughly, you're about what, 210?
Today I weighed in at 212.
212. Okay, so I mean, you're around there, somewhere around there. So, yeah, do you think you're gonna have the advantage with the weight? What's the strategy going into this match?
Oh, great question. I hope that Lights Out tunes in for this. So, my goal is to, instead of focusing on him at all, I'm gonna be focused on trying to get a power slap contract with Dana White.
Is that right?
No, I mean, maybe we'll see. Dana, if you see this, please. No,
Definitely, man. Get it, Dana. Come on, help us out.
My goal is to expect that in a chess match that we're exchanging advantages, and that one major way that we're exchanging advantages and disadvantages in this situation is our weight. And that I'm going to have to develop a strategy that's very focused on my size and very focused on his speed and lightness, and being prepared to deal with his techniques he has a very unique style. And I've watched him grow from being very wide and open to a technical. And I've been I haven't had the chance to prior. Well, that's not true. I have chosen not to prior watch game footage beforehand, because I like unwrapping each of my fighters as a new present under the tree. But I've been watching some of his fights, and I was
gonna say, man, it's hard not to watch his fights. He has almost 80 of them out there. I mean, you have a lot of footage on being able to kind of develop a strategy going against this individual.
Yeah, it definitely helps that we both have so many fights under our belt, that he's able to see everything that I've ever brought to the table, and I'm able to see everything he's brought to the table, and it turns it into like one of the first, most of the time in like the chess world, until you've built up to a point where you have a name for yourself, you're going against nobodies. You're going against someone who you're walking in blind. But the first major times, I feel like, I mean, with solo, you battle a guy enough times and you start to know that if he lifts his foot, drop your head and get under his waist. You know, that,
Yeah,
that
did you learn that in that first match with Solo, man? Ooh, he caught you with that head kick. You definitely want to get out of the way of those.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And you know, every person has their own way and rhythm that they bring to their dance, whether it be in martial arts, chess, or anything that we do to conquer the obstacles in life. And the in chess, one of the big things is that you're starting out with both sides absolutely equal, and all that appears is the psychology left behind from your decisions, and the choices that you make create these systems in
Hmm.
line with everything that we do. And I look to try and watch not just Lights Out in the ring, but out of the ring to try and understand who he is as a person and find whatever I can to be able to um, connect and show him respect as a fighter in the ring here on the 21st. And I hope you all tune in.
Definitely. Make sure you guys get that pay-per-view access if you're not going to be at the event. It's only $4.99 and available on the Scrapyard YouTube channel. So be sure to get that if you want to see this match against two of the Scrapyard legends, Pappas versus Lights Out, the David versus Goliath match. Normally I'm always a little bit like concerned about this, but I think with Lights Out's experience and all that, I think that you guys are actually going to have a really good match, and I'm really excited to watch it. I mean, you always have a really straightforward style, and you're not scared to get in there and bang with somebody, and neither is Lights Out. So it's fixing out to be just a banger all around. So I can't wait to watch it. I'm actually going to be there for that, so I'm going to see it live in person. So I can't wait, bro. Um,
Anytime
y-
or it brings music to the yard. Honestly, you're and you help everyone when you're there, and it's just incredible to see. I wish that there were more naughty Nates at the yard.
Oh, well, I wouldn't stand out as much. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do what I can, bro. I mean, like I said, I like being I love that Fire Chicken, Steve and Mandy, that they really created a wonderful community there. And I just want to help, be a part of it and lend a hand where I can, man. And I tell everybody I don't know it all. I'm not, I've been doing martial arts for a while, but I'm forever a white belt, man. I think you can learn things from everyone, and I'm there for moral support. I'm there to try to remind you to keep your hands up. I mean, there's only so much I can do as a corner if you never trained with me before. So a lot of it is just trying to be there and walk through novice competitors that are kind of like having that nervous anxiety and kind of like just settle them in and be like, hey man, this is normal. It's all good. So I'm really thankful for the community and finding like-minded individuals like yourself over there, and that's been a blessing too, man. I'm so happy that you've made your way back to the scrapyard. Is there anything that's you're looking forward to this year in regards to the scrapyard? They got a lot of things happening right now with the 140 tournament coming up for the belts, documentaries coming out this year. They just had that big partnership that they signed with, like a lot of huge things happening.
It'd be hard to put my finger on a thing that I wasn't excited to see with the scrapyard. Since we've cut ties with some negative energy, we have managed to just continue to grow and grow and grow. And I'm excited to see our professionality and the scrapyard's character get to really grow unstifled compared to where we no bad feelings between any of the other branches. I still love everyone involved, and if you choose to step in the cage, you're an absolute beast and outshine 99.9% of the people who think that they kick ass and are too scared to even try. But I uh, I definitely am excited to see where the scrapyard chooses to take its own personality compared to uh, being stuck underneath a system that was, as far as I could see from the outside, holding it back.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. No, me too. Like I said, all the training wheels are off now. The sky's the limit. So let's go out and get it, man.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things I really appreciate about you, Pappas, is your IQ when it comes to martial arts. You really know how to break things down, and you have quite a bit of philosophy behind you. And I think that a lot of people that don't know this about you may have that misconception because when you're in there, it kind of seems like chaos, but it's really controlled chaos. Like there's a method to this madness. And I know we've talked before in the past, and you correlate some of your martial arts strategy a lot to that, like chess. And I know that you're like a ranked chess player too. So why don't you try to break that down for us? How you correlate the martial arts to the chess, and kind of like how those two things blend.
Thank you. Well, let's start with looking at a book that many of our martial artists will be familiar with called Go Rin No Show. It's the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman to ever live. He every one of his fights, instead of fighting what's called fighting the last fight, where I believe that this technique, this sword movement, is the best movement, and getting tunnel vision to lose sight of all the possibilities and tactics that open up on the board when two people come together and make music, harmonizing and dissonating their different tactics, strategies, and ways that they go about overcoming the obstacle in front of them, whether it's on the board, in the ring, or in any other form of connection with a person trying to come to with any other situation where you are trying to overcome an obstacle.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So is there any kind of methods that you pull from chess that you implement into the ring?
So the first is to strip away the concept of the chessboard, to strip away the concept of the body, and instead look at what are called meta principles. So the meta is to extract the generalized tools that apply from one thing to multiple things, to things like recognizing that if you stay calm, cool, and collected, you're more likely to have a better outcome in most situations than panicking. This is an example of a meta principle that can apply to most fields. And as forever white belt's philosophy of focusing on the fundamentals and building from that beginner's mindset, all chess and all other things are built from these basic individual component blocks. And that mastering these individual tools and becoming deeply intimate with each individual piece allows you to have a stronger build as you move toward the next layer of skills. And so one of the first things that you learn in chess is that you're going to learn the fundamentals, but then there's always going to be an exception to the rule. So as you develop, you're always going to be able to find more ways to be able to bend and maneuver those rules to your will, and that eventually the new systems that you built on those will break down as you climb the next level, and that once again there will be an exception to even these new rules that you've created for your own systems.
So in chess, I don't mean to interrupt you real quick, but is chess kind of like, so are you developing so I'm not real familiar with chess. I'll be honest with you with that. But are you developing like your own style of play? Is your own style of play of chess kind of like in martial arts? They give you, let's say you do a system, pick a system, you do that system. I always think like a black belt, like when you hit your first dan or whatever, become a black belt in whatever system it is. All it means is that you've mastered the basics of that system, right? And then from the black belts is where you start to develop your own way of using those basics, and you'll find your strengths, your weaknesses based off of your fight IQ, based off of your experience, based speed, power, body type, etc. And then you start to develop your own way of fighting. Now, is there like your own way of playing chess that you start to develop?
So and when you study the systems of chess, you'll recognize that whether it's martial arts or it's chess, each system chooses something that they are really focused on exploiting to its deepest ability. and then build the entire system around what they want to trade the advantage or disadvantage for. Because every position, whether I lower my center of gravity or I raise my center of gravity, or I choose to castle king side or queen side, all affect the nuances of how my opponents can best get to me and what tools I can best implement to get to my opponent. And whether it's the physics of the chessboard or recognizing force equals mass times acceleration, using torque, understanding how to control and mitigate inertia, being able to control the space and geometry of what's left behind and be able to measure this accurately through your mental space and conceptualization, visualization in the moment to make sure that, you know, that is right where it needs to be, when it needs to be, and learning to be able to take the themes of understanding things like danger levels on the chessboard. If I attack your king, you can't continue your attack because there's something of greater danger involved. If you're throwing a slower attack, like let's say a haymaker, and I can get a more direct attack that's a flicker jab straight to your center line, to your chin, you're going to have to respond to that before you can finish your haymaker. I'm going to hit you in the chin. That to be able to use these tempe breakers, that understanding that in a dance, on the chessboard or in martial arts, that there's a lead and a follow for each movement, and that each movement begets opportunities for the other side to make a move, but that those moves are going to be on the chessboard what we call forced moves if you give them a limited number of options that can actually result in a good position. So if I'm just sitting here dancing like a monkey, you could do anything to me. Like you could attack from any way, but if I throw a jab at you, you have to respond to that jab in only a finite number of ways. Or you might evade, you might parry, you might block, you might there's a lot of different things you can do, but you have to deal with it because it's creating a forcing moment, and being able to build and chain off of those positions and use them to be able to reset to a new position and be able to use those positions to then continue to build exploitative opportunities, whether it's that you're looking to wear down their weakness, whether it's that you're looking to get to a position where you have protected your weakness so that then you can start your offensive opportunities, whether it's that you're just looking to remaneuver so that you're out of danger and now you're able to reposition and determine your next best sets of moves. That with each of these different move sets, you are, whether it's with the physical body or on the chessboard, we are limited based on the game that we're playing as far as the physics that we're able to use, and it only allows us so many different types of opportunities that we can take from any given position, and that means that it's all calculatable. So if you just stop, like take any position in like a wrestling position, and you were to work out that both sides are equal strength and both sides know what's coming. Neither side are playing hope chess. They're both just moving really slow and doing like slow kata work, that you're like a slow flow spar. You're able to work out, okay, what's the most appropriate set of best lines, best moves from each position to be able to potentially deal with this position if everything else was equal. And
if everything was equal, that I think yeah, you can kind of develop a strategy, but a lot of times in combat, things are not equal. You got to account for, like I said, speed, power, body type, and a lot of times it's not you go, I go. It's happening. I mean, you get somebody that's a really good striker, they can land, they can throw string of combinations at you that you may have to sit on the defensive. Is there a thing in chess where the guy's on a constant attack where you just sit on the defense?
Yes.
Or there is? Okay.
So in chess, you're battling for the majority of the game. You're battling over this concept called tempe, and tempe is basically the number of moves that I get to make in a row before you actually get to do something you want to do, not be responding to something that I'm saying. For example, if we were in a verbal argument right now, and it's like, you did this, this, and this, and I was able to list them in a one clear sentence. And now you have to respond to all three of these openings. Like, for example, in martial arts, we have in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you taught me this, that we have this ABC armbar series that basically, if when you're in a specific position from side mount, that if you allow for your arm to be pulled outward, it's going to be taken to the armbar. If you try and pull upward to defend, it's going to be taken to an Americana, and if you allow it to go down, it's going to be taken to a Kimura. And that you're creating a transposition in what's called in martial arts or in chess, what we call a transposition, where it's multiple potential attacks to overload a structure where one arm cannot be in two places at once. So now, in order to be able to defend from like a flicker jab, that from the same motion, I can either go low and attack the core, or slightly higher and attack the chin. It creates a position where my opponent has to choose which side they're going to defend, and then from there, it leaves an opening of opportunity. And this allows us to kinetically chain from one attack to another, because when I have their arm, when you have my arm, excuse me, let's say, I'm not wanting to pull my arm up, but I have to. You're forcing me to try and choose one of these positions that I believe I can outmaneuver and outhandle you from. And
sure, I think the primary difference is going to be when it comes to your example, at least with the jab, is that if you're throwing a jab at me, I have two arms to defend that jab, as well as getting offline with head movement, compared to if we're in that scenario, what I was talking about, if you have me in a side control position and you isolate my one arm, you have the advantage because you have two arms again and leverage against my one arm.
yes.
So it's a little different in the sense that like you're isolating that compared to, like I said, if you throw that jab, I kind of have the advantage in the sense of defense, because I mean you have the advantage because you're attacking, so you're slightly a little bit ahead, but I have all this you have to get through compared to, like I said, in the other scenario, you have me down and I have to defend with one arm.
In our ABC armbar series, we were talking about forcing moves, while and in our jab example, we were talking about just the transposition, which the side mount, where you are controlling that arm, which isolating material is another major part of chess. You have the system whole where everything's able to flow in unison and be able to morph and move, transpose like water. While if you grab on and take control of my arm, you've now isolated this arm from the position. Now the entire rest of the position, the rest of my structure has to move based on you holding on to my arm. And in chess, sometimes a piece will be taken to a position where you move there in order to be able to gain a temporary control over something that is no longer relevant. And now I've trapped that position there so that you can no longer exploit me from that tool. And now that tool is trapped and able to be used against you, in whether it be being used in a pin, or whether I use it to be able to transpose to another part of your body as I climb or move, or it forces you to have to defend weak material at a distance, and it creates a lot of exploitative position opportunities.
Okay. I mean, man, the fact that you can correlate the two, it's mind-boggling to me. I mean, I can see similarities for sure. And we play a lot of like we always correlate like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to chess, in the sense that like you string together attacks, or I guess I don't know chess that well. So, but yeah, we talk about it like when we're stringing together attacks, and how you can get somebody to fall into a trap, which I'm assuming is what you're talking about when we're talking about chess, is that you have a strategy that's like you're not thinking about getting the guy with the next move. You're thinking about getting the guy with like 3 or 4 moves down the road. Is that correct?
Like hope chess, where you're throwing a jab hoping it's going to land. No, you need to throw the jab knowing that they're going to evade to the left, and then you're you're shifting your weight so that you can attack the position that they go to cover their head, so they've left their core open.
And there are certain things you can do for sure to, get the leverage point or the advantage to make it more likely that they're going to move to the left in this scenario. But it's not all. I mean, it's not always the case. Sometimes guys will move. I mean, it's chaotic. Guys will move in a direction you're not expecting. Um, how do you I guess recover when a strategy falls apart? Much like what Mike Tyson said, he said everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face. Is there a thing like in chess where you battle off your back to
Yeah.
kind of like change the momentum around or something?
So often, if I am in a negative position, I am looking to do multiple things. I am looking to get to a point of Nash equilibrium, where no move that I make is hurting me, or the move that I'm making is not hurting me, and that I'm in a stable position where I might not be able to fight for an advantage yet, but I'm in a position where you are not able to fight for an advantage either.
Like a stall, right? Like a stall position.
Exactly. It's closer to a stall position where I'm able to then look to make nuanced, small, appropriate moves that continue to build a slight advantage. That in chess we have this thing called centipawns, which are 1/100th of a pawn's value, and basically a pawn in the middle of the board can be worth a lot more than a pawn on the edge of the board sometimes. It all depends on the situation. Just like your foot might be the thing that's causing you to be taken out because of a leg lock, but your kick could also be what's getting you the roundhouse kick and you're knocking your opponent out. It all depends. Material is only worth the value of the context of the position that it's in. So,
I mean, I always say that too, position over submission. Always, position's extremely important in martial arts. It's probably one of the most important things. I mean, even in striking, if you don't position yourself right, you can set yourself at a disadvantage. I always look for angles when I'm striking. I call them 45 angles when I'm looking to attack. You can level change quite a bit. Spacing's very important and stuff like that. It becomes more leverage and stuff becomes more important in jujitsu, and stringing together combinations. So I'm seeing some similarities based off of what you're saying on how they correlate for sure.
So here's another great example. A famous position in chess is called the smother mate. And give me one moment.
Mm-hmm.
I will just pull that up. So the smothered mate is basically where I've managed to turn every piece that's surrounding my opponent, every one of their own. So your king. Let's use a metaphor that your head is your king for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I have brought all my material up to a point where I have it surrounding myself, trying to use it for my own protective advantage. And that in chess, you can create a position where you use the opponent's own material in order to be able to smother you. So tell me if you can see this on your end.
I can see that, yeah.
So the knight, the white piece, is about to step up to where the arrow is pointing, which is going to attack because the knight attacks in L shapes. The knight is able to bypass the three pieces, the rook that attacks vertically and horizontally, and the pawns that move forward. The knight is stepping to the side of the pawns outside of any range of attack while being in range of the king. The king has nowhere to go because the rook and the two pawns are preventing it from moving. Now, why I bring this up is because we have moves in martial arts like the gift wrap or the Ezekiel, where we are able to smother our opponent's king. Which a king in chess is a piece that cannot be traded off or sacrificed in a way that is going to allow you to continue in any way. That which in martial arts, if you lose control of your vitals, your senses, you're going to have a very rough time.
I mean, that's how people get knocked out or choked out. I mean, if you you get hit in the head or someone cuts some oxygen off to your brain, like you're going to sleep.
Exactly. So with that in mind, the Ezekiel, which or the gift wrap, uses your own opponent's. Another example of this is the cross arm or the cross face from wrestling, where you're where the cross face though you use your own arm, right? Or is that or okay? Never
Yeah.
mind. The cross arm face
Yeah.
is an example of it. That but any that uses your own opponent's arm to smother them or to choke them out to restrict their action.
Yeah, that's a gift wrap. Yeah.
Yes, a gift wrap is a great example of one that directly mimics or directly uses all the same principles of contorting and leveraging your opponent's own pieces around their own material, and then creating a position that allows you to strike at their at the weakest point, which is their airway in this case. The another example of this is, let me just pull up a quick another.
Hmm. Yeah, this is pretty interesting how you're able to, like I said, kind of bridge that gap between. Well, you're taking. I'm assuming these are legitimate chess strategies
Yes.
into like a match with you, right? And you're implementing these concepts of these strategies and trying to bring some kind of physical form to that in the match. Is that correct?
Absolutely. For
Okay.
example, my first 10,000 games of anything that I actually count for, were in a hippopotamus defense, which focuses on keeping your material setting back in what's called a latent position, where just like in the Philly shell, none of your pieces are out being able to be dealt with. And it's a very close range position that is designed to um, stunt a lot of your opponent's attacks and give them very little to bite on. It's a very defensive position that you slowly walk your opponent down with. And the using these tactics of understanding when my opponent has better range tools on me, so I need to close down our position, or understanding when my opponent is much better with inboxing, and I just need to keep on the outside and keep open files where I'm able to escape and continue to not let him control that pocket space between us, which is what, as I'm talking about this, I don't see either martial arts or chess. I see all these dynamic dynamic themes that are principles that I'm describing, such as the idea of leverage, or the idea what I can
Okay.
if I am attacking your king, and your king has nowhere to move, but it can move a piece in front of it. So, for example, if you're against the wall and you're in a corner and someone swings on your head, you might not have anywhere that you can go that's safe, but you can bring up your arm. This is called attraction, and understanding that you can force your opponent to make moves that you want them to becomes the whole name of both games. Because a good opponent will never give you just the opportunity by themselves. You are going to have to make them give it to you in exchange for something else. Usually creating a position that's overloading their structure, where they have two things that they need to do with the same component that are not able to do both things at the same time. And the way you do that is by running multiple systems that are touching on the same attack thematics, that you're continuously creating so much of an attack on their head that they've brought all the material up high, but you're in a position where you're still able to drop lower attacks and are more likely to get them in sync with your movement based on these things. And that's more of a mid-level compared to like at an upper level. That's not even going to work, because you're not forcing them. You're relying on them on this attack, drawing them to a position that's unprincipled of overloading material too high and forgetting to focus on the core, while something like the ABC armbar series is a much better representation of it, because it is force line from all three positions, where if you go down, the opponent has the ability to catch the Kimura, and if because you're already at a loss of extended leverage unless they're so weak that they can't move your arm. But at the Americana, it's the same position, or the armbar, it's the same position.
Yeah, I would say definitely in jujitsu, you can really limit people's options, I guess, for mobility. Depending on the position you have them in, depending on the setting, like if you have them up against, especially if you have them up against a wall or a cage, that limits their movement and whatnot. And you can kind of like give them like, this is your only option, right? Is to move this way. Where striking is it's a little more difficult to do, just because there's range. That's a big factor. Like I said, level changing. You're just having to deal with a lot more, a variety of things. They have more options a lot of times in striking, unless, like I said, you get them up against the wall, you body them a little bit. But even then, depending on what kind of match it is, they're going to have a lot of options, because they have the ability to always like spin out or move or create that kind of space, where in jiu-jitsu you can really negate that. The whole purpose of jiu-jitsu is negate space, or spacing and leveraging become a much bigger factor in that. So
I would say whether it's martial arts, whether it's striking or grappling, or whether it's in chess, is all about space and the space left behind with situations. That in order, like for example, that if I throw a jab and you choose to block it, you are using material and material resource to be able to block it. Even if it's a million hits, you only have so many times you can block before your arm is going to be tired, and I only have so many jabs that I get. So we're both expending resources and energy, whether it's time on the clock, whether it's our breath, whether it's our lactic acid building up in our muscles, whether it's the ATP energy that we're consuming to do that. It's all part of what we are trading. So chess is a game of trades, where I have to sometimes trade material, sometimes trade position, and other times I'm trading thematic keys or strategy. No matter what I'm trading, though, it's a game of resource control and fighting over the central space. That in martial arts, you have the center line. If you can start landing solid strikes on the center line, there's no direction to roll out of it as easy, and you're looking to gain control of the center line by fighting for the pocket that's between you and your opponent. And whoever has better control of that void space, as Demetrius Johnson would call it, is typically going to be able to control and dominate the fight. In chess, we call it he who controls the center controls the game. But then there are art styles in chess that teach, like the hypermodern, that teach to give your opponent the center. Now fight for it, because they have to be able to prove that they can maintain it, because it's not just he who controls the center in the beginning controls the game. It's he who controls the center at the time that the most dominant attack begins typically controls the game. So everything is about, okay, well, in your opening, what are you looking to gain? In your mid game, what are you willing to sacrifice? And in your end game, what is your outcome that you're looking for? And that is how everything overlays. That the more that we strip away these concepts of striking and more look at it as when we encounter resistance, when we are looking to complete our objective, we need to first probe the resistance for any weaknesses, recognize what friction and in what ways its harmonies and dissonances prevent it from being able to help the rest of its system. So, for example, when I've thrown my jab, I've left myself open. When I've thrown my jab, I have my body my body weight is moving unidirectionally. This creates a moment, an opportunity for some sort of counterplay. And recognizing how to recognize these patterns and being able to capitalize on them in a heartbeat, like muscle memory, is the name of all these games, is to observe, to assess, and to respond based on the patterns that appear on the board.
Okay. So how do you I guess choose your strategy when confronted with an opponent?
Oh, that's a great question. First, I ask myself, what do I notice about this opponent? First, I ask myself, with the observations that I've made of this opponent, are like, for example, wow, Lights Out is really fast. He's only 135 pounds. I'm not trying to put any assessment on any of these statements. I'm trying to look at them as just facts. He has a 79-pound grip strength. Okay, that's a fact on the board. This is starting to allow us to see the psychology behind the board. He has 64 fights and only 7 losses.
I think it's 75 fights, somewhere around there. But yeah, it's a lot.
And that's not even including any of his BJJ matches,
Yeah, or anything outside the Scrapyard. Yeah.
No, wild. It's wonderful. I'm so excited. It's going to be an absolute delight, and make sure you all tune in. It's going to be a treat. But I honestly, my prediction for the fight is that it's very unlikely to be an even match. It's going to go one way or the other. Either he's going to be
it will
with speed and capitalize on some of my open weaknesses, or I'm going to shut down the majority of his lines and play around like a clown. Those are the only 2 ways that
like I said, I think it's going to be a bit of a banger because you guys are both not scared to get in there and exchange. So when you have matches like that, it's like fireworks, man. It just takes that one missed what is it, slip, or one missed block or deflection, and you get caught on the chin because things are happening at such a fast pace.
Absolutely. And that's why I love chess, because there are these 2 different versions and focuses in the school of chess, which is classical, where you get 90 minutes on each side of the board, which I love and enjoy. But since I've been at the Scrapyard, I've focused on what's called bullet chess, where it's 1 minute for both sides to play every move. So you're playing 40 to 60 moves sometimes in a game, and you have 2 minutes between your time and your opponent's time to make every one of those moves. And you're often having to think 2-3 moves in advance, and you're dealing with, oh shoot, I threw an attack that was miscalculated, and now I have to scramble to defend this because I'm in a bad position because I thought they were going to juke and they actually just came straight down the line. With chess, it's that exact same way, where if you have all the time in the world, you might be able to calculate it out. But with chess and with martial arts, it's all happening so fast that sometimes you just have to get in that flow, and sometimes you catch one on the chin, and it's about who can recover.
Yeah. Is there a flow state in chess that people kind of tap into?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, flow state is another huge part of what I believe in, is that there are 21 triggers to flow state that there's a book called The Rise of Superman, it's a nonfiction book. It's all about biochemistry. It has nothing to do with Superman. It's just the name of the book. But it's all about the 21 triggers of flow state and how to be able to help bring the body to what not just we call flow state as some mythical sensation, but that when you put someone that is in flow state in a MRI machine, you'll see that their prefrontal cortex is shut down basically almost completely, where the side of the brain that's meant for decision making has already ran the numbers so many times and have practiced these things so many times that it doesn't have to divert resources to this, that in these moments, because the prefrontal cortex shuts down, it also regulates the part of the brain that controls the feeling and sense of time. So during flow state, time will feel like it speeds up or slows down. the adrenal response fires, but it's the mindset that keeps you in this calm, alert state. You'll, if you stick your fingers out to the left and right and you wiggle them, you'll see them in both your peripherals. You're in what's called owl eyes, which the Navy SEALs use as a base state, and owl eyes is another one of these precursors to entering flow state. These 21 triggers can often help a person get nailed into what we call the zone or the pocket, or whatever the getting in that peak level game state for you, where you're no longer thinking about it and everything is flowing like water.
Yeah. Well, man, I got to tell you, Pappas, I find it very interesting, like I said, how you're able to correlate the two. You know, I like to use martial arts as like my hub as well, where I attack life with the lessons I learned in martial arts. And it's good to see that you're also doing the same thing. Like you said, you look at things and you try to see how that correlates with the lessons and the experience you've learned through martial arts. And I find that to be awesome, man. I mean, some people, like I said, out there, they may not have the same understanding that you have of some of your concepts, but there definitely is a method to the madness, which you bring to the yard. And I think that right there just kind of shows what level you're at above like other individuals that know nothing about martial arts, that have never stepped into a ring. So, good on you for being able to do that, man. It's not easy to do sometimes.
Josh Waitskin's he wrote the book The Art of Learning. He's a Tai Chi Chuan push hands world champ or national champion, and he's also the child that they created the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, which is a movie about trying to find the next up and coming chess protege. He wrote a book called The Art of Learning. This book is all about extracting principles and lessons from everything that we do and taking them with us. And many of the things that I've talked with you about today, if you're looking for a deeper insight into this realm from not just someone who is still well into the forever white belt on this journey, Josh Waitskin has proven himself to be world class in both of these fields of martial arts and chess, and talks all about using the space left behind and turning the macro into the micro and the micro into the macro, and being able to use just all the principles that we've gone over tonight. And it's a wonderful book. But one of the major things that he talks about with it is that as we climb any mountain of wisdom and knowledge in any field, that we pick up these lessons along the way. And when you reach the top of it, rarely do you find that you know much different than anyone else that is up at the top of the summit. That once you've gotten to the top, I know an armbar, I know a Kimura, I know an Americana, I know the nuances behind a leg lock, I know a calf splice. Like you'll get to the point where both sides know everything, but then it's the person who climbs down the mountain and takes those tools to a new field and into a new journey of exploration, and is able to go, I'm going to take some of my tools from fencing that I did and take them to this new journey of martial arts. Or I'm going to take some of the tools that I've learned from chess and take them to this new martial art. Or I'm going to take the practice of psychology or physics or biology or any of these different tools and go, how does what I've learned, how is everything that we've ever learned? Because I believe that mental illness is in the same way, exactly what we're talking about. It's not good or bad. It's not to be assessed. It's meant to be observed. And that things like paranoia, when left unchecked and uncoupled, it will ruin your life because it's the world conspires to harm you. But prenoia, the opposite of paranoia, is the world conspires to help you, and that everything that you do is a lesson for you to learn to be able to take with you to the next challenge. And that when you effectively and properly use these tools, they will help and augment you And whether it's that you have a torn ACL like I have, and that I've had to redesign my entire style and create an entire new way of my own existence of flowing through nature because of different, someone like Nubby, he creates
Mm-hmm.
their own style based on his own body and his own physics because he only has 3/4 of an arm, and that it it changes the balance of dynamics and mechanics that happen. And with these things, we're able to develop a path to to and through the obstacle that is solely ours.
All right. Well, that's a great way of looking at that, man. Like I said, you definitely have a method to your madness. I do have a comment here that is directed right at you, and it's from none other than Lights Out himself.
Let's see him.
And yeah, he said, "Are you coming to win? And what does that look like for you, Pappas?"
Ooh! I am absolutely coming to win Lights Out because to me, anyone who steps into the scrapyard and anyone who steps into the cage is winning, and as long as they're choosing to learn. Because the only people who are losers are the ones who step out and go, "My ego got hurt and I quit."
And right there, I love it. That's a fantastic answer. And I think that's what we're going to wrap this up on, Pappas. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day tonight. I'm looking forward. Yeah, we got another comment here from Lights Out. I'm looking forward to dancing with you. I'm really looking forward to this match as well. I think it's going to be, like I said, a banger. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be one of the top matches of the day. So again, guys, be sure to get the pay-per-view paid access on the Scrapyard YouTube channel. Again, it's only $4.99, guys, and you'll have access to all the live fights that day. It's looking out to be a great event. I'm expecting close to 20 at least matches. So well worth the money, guys. Be sure to check it out. And of course, we're gonna have one of the main events there, Pappas versus Lights Out. You got to turn in just to see that. It's gonna be amazing. Well, brother, before I let you go, I just want to say congratulations. I know you became a new father recently. Congratulations on that. All the blessings to you and your family. And I can't wait to see you on the 21st. All right, bro?
I'm looking forward to it. Lots of love to everyone out there, and looking forward to growing strong together.
Heck yeah. Hey, Pappas, before I let you go, tell people how they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Brandon Lee Pappas on any social media platform.
Brandon Lee Pappas, right there, guys. All right, well, make sure you give him a follow. Again, Pappas, thanks for taking the time tonight, and I'll see you later. All right, brother?
Have a good one. Looking forward to catching you out at the Scrapyard. Lights Out. You do. Let's get some rounds in.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man. Later.